Did you know that for this movie, Keanu Reeves was asked if he did his own stunts when John Wick was hit by the cars around the 21-minute mark of the movie, and Keanu responded by saying, "Well, I would have, but hospital. I could have maybe done it once, but that would have been it for me." John Wick Parabellum is my favorite John Wick movie of the entire franchise. Mainly, the reason I like it is the action and the stunts in this movie are by far my favorite, and I think are the best executed action and stunt scenes we've seen. So I have three things that I like about this movie. My last thing is definitely my favorite. So the first thing I like about this movie is the plot and the characters. The plot: John Wick is now excommunicado, and that's a pretty big deal. A part of me is always like, when he killed Santino in number 2, a part of me was like, well, that was completely justified, but also part of me was like, well, that was a really stupid thing to do. Like, John knew exactly what he was doing, yet he still did it. The whole actions and consequences thing is really playing out in a large scale here. The whole action and consequences thing, like, John is not a selfish individual, he's not, but I don't know if he really realized the ripple effect that his actions would how it would affect people. Like, he knew that he would be excommunicado, he would be hunted down by everybody. There's a huge price on his head, but also, like, the ripple effect of his action, now it goes to the director, Winston, and then also the Bowery King as well. They're all feeling the effects of John's actions, and they had to figure it out too. So now they're all just in the same boat. But this is another thing I love about this story. John's humanity, like, when you look at, like, he's a stone cold assassin at times. The humanity John still has, like, he still actually, like, cares for people. I mean, he could just kill, Winston like he's supposed to. There's a part of him that can't do it because, yes, he's friends with Winston, but he's also not as hard-hearted, not as cold-hearted as most of the assassins in this movie are. Because anybody else in the movie who were given these instructions, they would kill Winston without a second thought. I love this character trait that he has. And then I like the characters that we get introduced in this movie. Sophia, great character, fun character. I will say the only thing I was hoping with Sophia's characters, they talked a little bit about, like, why there was the blood oath with her, but they don't really go into detail. Like, I would have loved to know more about Sophia and John's history, because Sophia's a really cool character. I really like her. There's a lot of history between these two, which I love that. It adds a lot of drama, adds a lot of tension. I would have loved to get more on that. Like, it wasn't very well developed. We get the iconic Halle Berry in this. She just kicked butt, man. Like, she really went all out, and apparently she broke 3 ribs while filming. I admire her really going in for the role on this. And then another character that I was a fan of in this movie was the adjudicator. When I first saw this movie, I thought she was gonna get killed by somebody. And there were times she was definitely asking for it. She was definitely poking the bear. But I think her character really added some intrigue to this movie. This is the only time we get to see an adjudicator in the movie. There's a lot of things that they can do with the John Wick universe, and I'm really hoping that they expand on some of these different characters and different, like, the tier levels of the assassin world, because we get introduced to all these really cool characters and these concepts and stuff, and it's not really fleshed out a whole lot. There's a lot of mystery surrounding her. Like, we don't really know what happened to her after the movie. She kind of just vanishes. We never see her again. The second thing I liked about this movie is the action and the stunts are definitely my favorite out of all the John Wick movies. I think they're the most well put together. Everyone and their mother is just coming after John, and we get to see so many different action sequences and so many different crazy stunts. And I do also have to admire Halle Berry doing her own stunts when she and John team up and take out, I don't know how many, that was probably like 30-40 people on the Casablanca scene, just going crazy. There are just so many great fight scenes in this movie. A lot of sword action, knife action, gun action, just hand-to-hand combat. I mean, I'm always just in awe of what Chad Stahelski can do to just give us the best stunts possible. That leads me to my favorite scene. There's actually 2 scenes in this movie that are tied as my favorite, because I just couldn't pick one or the other because they're just so good. First scene I loved in this movie was the Continental Hotel scene. It's like 99.9% action, and there's like 0.1% comedy, and the comedy I find in it is Winston is just chilling in the back behind the safe, just drinking wine, listening to classic music, and he's kind of just like, oh, you know, la-di-da. Meanwhile, Sharon and John are out there trying not to die, just shooting people all over the place. And then they just casually come back and like, oh, we need more guns. And Winston's like, okay, you know, he opens the door and they just walk back in, walk back out. And he's like, okay, you know, he's not doing anything. He's just like sitting there. But I just always found that seemed to be a tiny bit comedic because Winston was just, his whole demeanor and attitude toward the whole thing was really funny. He was kind of cocky about it too, but I really like Winston. But the main reason why I like the Continental Hotel gunfight scene is we get to see Sharon in action. We've never gotten to see this from him. I didn't even know that he could even like load a gun or do anything like that, because most of us just assume, oh, he's just the concierge. He doesn't see action. He doesn't do action. But I'm really, really glad they decided to give a good amount of time to Sharon just shooting the shotgun and taking out tons of people. And it just sucks that Lance Reddick passed away so suddenly a couple years ago. But that's like one of my favorite scenes, maybe out of the entire John Wick franchise, is because it hits different now that Lance is gone. So like every time I see that scene, I'm like, man, it's so cool that he got to have like this really cool action-packed scene, and I'm sure that he loved being a part of that every minute. And then the second scene that was one of my favorites was John Wick against the two shinobis, which are ninja-like assassins. It's a great mixture of intense fighting, but also like intense mutual respect. They were like the ultimate John Wick fanboys, and like when they talked to him, like they helped him up, you know, and then they gave him a chance to catch his breath or whatever, and then they just fought, but it was with honor. Like this whole fight scene, as wild and crazy and just intense as it was filled with honor and respect at the end. Like he didn't kill them at the end, which I always found that to be really interesting. Like I said, it points to John's humanity. Like he could have killed him easily, but he chose not to. Mainly, I think, is because he knew how much they respected him. Those two scenes has really solidified this movie for me in terms of just over the top, the best action, the best stunts, just executed perfectly. So for John Wick Parabellum, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10 Mudflaps. Remember, leave me a thumbs up and drop in the comments below. What was your favorite moment from this movie? See you soon.